Hello there. In this video, we're going to look at how you can use Socratease Question Bank features within AutoProctor. Now, Question Bank is useful if you have a large pool of questions and you want the candidate to attempt a subset of them, let's say randomly selected questions that have different difficulty levels. So we'll see how you can do that. Within your AutoProctor dashboard, click on Socratease Quizzes. You will get a section like this. Click on Question Bank. We'll first create a question bank. So as you say here, it's a database of questions with different difficulty levels. Click into this. You will see the regular Socratease form where you can add questions. I have a few questions ready here. This is physics. So I'm going to call this physics question bank. Okay, so unit of force, Newton, let's say it's 1 point, right? I'm going to add a few more questions. You'll have to bear with me a bit. Speed of light when it travels from air to water, it decreases. Again, make it 1. So this is first law. Let's say I make this 2 points, right? And then one last question in physics. Now you must notice that I am not just assigning points, I'm ensuring that what I think are more difficult questions get more points, right? So I have 2 questions here in physics that have 2 points, and then I have 2 that have 1 point. This is just a question bank, which means it's just a database of questions. I've only chosen MCQs, but you can do this for other question types as well. So I've saved this. Now I have a question bank for physics. Let me create one for chemistry as well. So I go back to Socratease Quizzes. Ultimately, what I want to do is to be able to combine questions from both physics and chemistry. So I've created physics. Let me create one more. This is going to be a chemistry question bank. This is the first question. What gas plants take up? Carbon dioxide. Let's say it's a 1 pointer. And then another, what I think is an easy question. Chemical change. Burning wood. So I'm going to give it 1 point. Slightly more difficult question. Most abundant in the Earth's crust. So let's say oxygen, give it 2 points. And last question here. Shared between atoms. It's going to be covalent bond. Let's make this 3 points, right? It's just for this illustrative purposes, and I have now saved this. So what I have is 4 questions each in physics and chemistry. I want to now create a quiz, and the question bank itself is just a database of questions. You cannot share this with a candidate, right? To use questions from here, you'll have to create a question bank quiz, or what we call the QBQ. So a quiz containing questions of different question banks and difficulty levels. Now let me create one. So I'm going to create, let's say, a quiz that has more physics questions or more difficult physics questions, right? So within chemistry, I want to have only the difficulty level corresponds to the number of points. So there were 3 questions, there were 4 questions, and they had either 1 or 2 or 3 points, right? So I want to keep the quiz I'm creating right now is more physics based. So I'm going to have just 1 question, right? I'm going to have 1 question that is at a difficulty level of 1 point within chemistry. Now I can also add one more question. I can say, okay, give me at the difficulty level of 2, give me 1 question. Remember, there's only 1 question that has difficulty level 2, that is points 2. So I can do this, but this is a physics based quiz, so I will have only a very simple chemistry question. Let me remove that and add a different question bank, and the only one, the one I have is a physics one. So I'm going to say physics, and I want to add the difficult questions, right? So I'll have 2 and I'll have 2 questions. So basically we are having, this quiz will have one question with one chemistry question that has points equal to 1, and two physics questions that have points equal to 2, right? And then there are some other, so let's say question all at once, and so on. So I'll say save and proceed. Okay, so it has been added successfully. Now I go home. Now I should be able to see this in my, you see here it says question bank quiz. I click into this. I go to the AutoProctor settings. Okay, so I need to give this a name. The test title is physics major, right? Because we are having more questions from physics. I'm going to now disable Proctor, just showing how the Socratease quiz works. Let's say I give it 5 minutes. Save. Now, if I go into this, so this is physics major. If I go home, I should be able to see physics major. Now, let's say I attempt the test. You see it has 3 questions, and this was a 2-point question. This was a 2-point question, right? So you see 2 physics questions that are 2 points, and this was a 1-point question in chemistry. Now, because the physics question bank had only 2 questions of this, you'll only see you'll see both of them, right? Now, if I reload this, it is possible that the chemistry question may change because it picks up randomly. Okay, it hasn't picked. It hasn't changed. I mean, you can try this, but what I want you to take away from this is we started with 2 question banks. I go back here. There are 2 question banks, and we have configured the test to pick questions across both question banks. So there are 2 question banks, and if you see the physics question bank, there were 2 questions here that are 2 points, and this, right? And so you saw both questions turn up. Now I could do one thing. Let me make both of them 2 points, right? So now all of them are 2 points. Save. Let's see if I attempt this again, if either of these questions show up. Right, so I go back here. Let's see if I attempt this. Now it's still, let me actually submit on this because I think it's resuming the test. So let me submit this. Let me go back, attempt the same test because it was resuming where I left off. So it was the same questions. There you go. The question has changed, right? So this used to be a 1-point question. I made it 2 points and it's showing up. So the takeaway here is a question bank is a set of questions with different difficulty levels, and you can create multiple question banks, and then you create what is called a question bank quiz, whose settings basically determine which question banks you pick the questions from, and for each question bank you decide, okay, how many questions do I want at what difficulty level, right? So you create this as a question bank quiz, and as usual, if you go into this and then you say, okay, once you've configured the quiz, you can configure the AutoProctor settings, and then you should be able to use it like any other. So I can go into this and say save and proceed. This will take you to AutoProctor settings, and then you can set all the Proctor settings and so on from here, right? I've showed you an example with a question bank quiz having 2 question banks, but you could do this with a single question bank. Let's say you have a set of physics questions, and then let's say there are 100 questions, right? So in this question bank, you just have this, there are 100 questions, and you want to use the same question bank for different difficulty levels, okay? So you can create a question bank quiz and make it easy, which has only 1-point questions. So if I go into this, it won't have the chemistry question bank, it'll only have this, it'll have only 1-point questions. You can create a different question bank quiz that has only physics question bank, and it has only 10-point questions. Right? So those are more difficult questions and so on. So you can either use multiple question banks or you can use a single question bank, and within that question bank you can specify the difficulty level, and remember the difficulty level is based on the points for each question. Alright, thank you.